All right, hello everybody. Welcome to lesson 39 of our fractions unit, equivalent fractions. So students will find equivalent fractions using multiplication. So before we get started with this lesson, I just want to direct your attention to a few different resources that we have available to you. So on Mr. Wasick's Google site, if you go onto the math page and then unit 5 fractions, you will see this equivalent fractions chart, which will be very helpful, especially with this lesson, and also the fractions web app. So that's the one right beside it, and it looks something like this, where you can create fractions using number strips or circles, pizzas. Let's jump into the unit. There's our equivalent fraction chart that we were talking about. So a parent and a child were sharing a cake. So the parent divided it into two pieces. So here's our square cake divided into two pieces, one for the parent, one for the child. The child said he wanted two pieces. You know, as kids often are, they're not happy with what they're given, so he didn't like the one big piece, he just asked for two pieces. So the parent can magically create more cake because there was just that one cake. So the smart mom cut the cake as so. So this was the first cut and this was the second cut. And now the child got two pieces. So the question for you to consider is, did the child get more cake by getting two pieces? And clearly we can see that these two pieces are the same size as the one original piece that the child got. It just got, the cutting happened a little bit differently. So when we talk about two fractions that show the same amount, we are talking about equivalent fractions. These two pictures show equivalent fractions. First we have 1/2 in this picture, and then we have 2/4 in this picture. And we could see that in both cases, we have half of the cake. Or percentages work nicely with fractions. 1 out of 2, or 1/2, is 50%. And 2 out of 4, 2/4, is also 50%. So basically on your calculator, you would type in 1 divided by 2. It's always top divided by bottom, numerator divided by denominator. And then you multiply that answer by 100, and that would give you your percentage, which would be 50% in this case. Both people get twice as many pieces, but the same amount of cake. So that's the key here. Same amount of cake. Doesn't matter that they get twice as many pieces. So we can show that here. Let's say we have a circle cake. So here originally we had 1 out of 2. Here we had 2 out of 4. You could see that same amount of both circles are shaded. All right, moving right along. Here's some exercises for you to try in your notebook. Copy the picture into your notebook. Break each part in half to create equivalent fractions. So when you break them in half, I'd like you to write down both equivalent fractions just like we had up here, where it said 1/2 equals 2/4. You will write down the original fraction and the new fraction down here below. So pause the video right now. And when you're ready, unpause it and let's continue. So for A, and originally we have 1 out of 3, so 1/3. And when we cut in half, it looks something like this. So now we have 6 pieces altogether, and 2 of them are shaded. So 1/3 equals 2/6. Here we have 2/3 shaded. It's always the gray part, equals, we cut it in half. We now have 4 out of 6 shaded. So 2/3 and 4/6 is the same. Over here we had 1/4, 1 out of 4. And now we have 2 out of 8, 2/8. And here we had 3/4, and that's equal to 6 out of 8, 6/8. We can see those same fractions on our equivalent fraction chart. So let's take a look at that. So the first question showed that 1/3 and 2/6 are equal. So I'm just showing you in the app how you can easily demonstrate that 1/3 and 2/6 are equal. The length of the paper strip is the same in both cases. Okay. Let's move on. How many times as many parts does the first picture have compared to the second picture? So first, let's write down the fractions for all these pictures. So you can go ahead and pause the video and then unpause it so we can continue. So this circle here is first divided into 2, 4, 6, 8 pieces, and this one is only divided into 2. This one is divided into 6, and this one's divided into 3. This one is divided into 6, and this one into 2. And this one's divided into 12, and this one's only divided into 3. So for A, the circle on the left shows 4 times as many pieces as the circle on the right. Here it's 2 times as many pieces as the circle on the right. Over here it's 3 times as many pieces, and over here it's 4 times as many pieces as the rectangle on the right. First of all, I think we can agree that all of these fractions are equivalent. They're showing the same amount of the piece shaded. So here we have 4 out of 8 shaded. Here we have 1 out of 2, 1/2. Here we have 2 out of 6. Here we have 1/3. Here we have 3/6. Here we have 1/2. Here we have 8/12, and here we have 2/3. So now we're just looking at the numerators. How many pieces are shaded? So from 1 to get to 4, you multiply by 4. So 4 times as many are shaded. Here, it's 2 times as many are shaded. Here, 3 times as many are shaded. And for D, it's 4 times as many are shaded. Write 2 equivalent fractions for each picture. So go ahead and do that now. Pause the video, come back when you're ready. So I can call this 1/3, or I could call it 2/6. I can call this 1/3, or I can call it 3/9. I can call this 3 out of 5, 3/5, or I can call it 9/15. And if I try the mathematical way, here I multiplied the numerator and denominator both by 2 to create my equivalent fraction. Here I multiplied by 3. And here I multiplied by 3 as well. So this next question, how many parts do I have to break each piece into to get 12 equal parts? Well, I have 3 equal parts right now. So if I break each one into 3 more, that'll be 9. So I'd have to break each one into 4 equal pieces. So how about I break it in half like this, then in half again. So I'm creating 4 equal pieces out of each one. All right, and now I should have 12, and out of those 12, I have 8 of them shaded. If I do it the multiplication way, I just double check my work. 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. As long as I multiplied top and bottom by the same thing, then I'm in good shape. So use multiplication to find the missing numerator. So when I don't know the numerator, I don't know this missing number up here, but I know that in order to make 5, I have to multiply by 4. And so if I multiplied by 4 for my denominator, I have to multiply by 4 for my numerator. And 1 times 4 is 4. So that's how I make an equivalent fraction. Okay, go ahead, pause the video and try the rest. To make 16, I have to multiply 4 by 4. So then I multiply the top by 4 as well, and I get 12. To make 18, I have to multiply 9 by 2, so I multiply by 2 up here, and I get 10. To make 100, I multiply 10 by 10, so I have to multiply by 10 there, and I get 70. And the bonus question, it's actually not that hard. To make 1,000 turn into 10,000, I multiply by 10. So I multiply by 10 here. Remember the little trick about adding the 0 to the end. And so that would be 150. Now we're doing the exact same thing, except this time we're getting the numerator. Sorry, the denominator that's missing. So I work with what I have. I have both numerators, the top numbers. So I ask myself, 3 times what makes 15? And the answer is 5. So if I multiply the top by 5, I have to multiply the bottom by 5. So that would be 20. All right, pause the video, try the rest, come back to check your answers. So here I'm multiplying by 7. Ooh, there's a tough multiplication. 56, if you recall from your multiplication facts. Times 6, 36. Times 10, so times 10 down here is 100. And some big bonus numbers, times 1,000. 1,000 times 1,000, I've got 3 zeros. Altogether, I've got a number with 6 zeros. That is 1,000,000. And up here, I multiply by 100. So I multiply by 100 here. 1 with 4 zeros would look like that, 10,000. So that is the lesson. Go ahead and work on page 31 to 33 in your Jump Math book. Please contact your teacher if you need help.